Also, thanks for wearing headphones. That always makes the audio quality so much better. So good,
You're welcome.
good work there. All right. Joining me in this episode is Jenny Pippin. She's the principal at Pippin Home Designs. Jenny, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. We've been hoping to get together and record something for the podcast for a while now, and I know how extremely busy you are. And so I appreciate you
Yeah.
taking the time to
Yeah.
schedule this and join me. I can't wait to share some details about your work with our audience. We also connected not too long ago for a collaboration on sort of a custom design build that you participated pretty thoroughly in the Mooresville area. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And
Yes.
that was really exciting. And that is actually on our YouTube channel, where it's something that I'm really proud of. So thanks so much for that. That was an awesome opportunity.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate the ability to do that with you too.
Jenny, before we dive into the work that you're specializing in 2024 and beyond, share for listeners a little bit of your background, hometown, and how did you get started in the home design industry?
Well, I grew up in Eastern North Carolina in a little town outside of Raleigh called Dudley, North Carolina. One of those one stoplight towns. If you blink, you miss it. And it was on a tobacco farm where I was raised. And I farmed tobacco from the time I could walk till I got a driver's license and could go do something else. Um, but I moved to Raleigh with my former husband, and I ended up going to school over at Wake Tech, and I have a 2-year architecture degree in architectural technology. And started out working for a number of builders over in that area. I did some traditional work and then some very contemporary work. And then I worked with William Poole Designs, and he did all custom. And that's where I just fell in love with, designing unusual and different projects for every client. So I felt like that was, what I really wanted to pursue, and had an opportunity to relocate to the Charlotte area in 1987. I moved here with my ex, and we started my own company full time here. I had started at part time before we moved, but then was able to go full time once I got here. And I just, contacted builders and got started doing builder designing, and then had the opportunity to design a home in the Street of Dreams Homes tour that took place in 1992 in the peninsula. And the home that I designed for that tour actually won Best of Show and Best Architectural Design. And that opened me up to having a lot of exposure to people who wanted to hire me directly to design custom homes for them.
I bet that was kind of a breakthrough opportunity for you, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And really, when I agreed to design the home for the builder as a showcase for him, I had no idea that there was going to be awards associated with it. So that was just quite a surprise and blew us away. So
That's
it's
amazing. Yeah.
yeah,
What year was that again?
in 1992.
Wow. And so that was early in the days of the peninsula, wasn't it?
Yes, it was when
Yeah,
it was first getting started. Yeah. Seen a lot of growth in there ever since, and
for
have
sure.
actually remodeled a number of homes in there that we designed.
Really? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Come full circle back to
Yes.
some homes that you originally designed. And yeah, what was it about the William Poole designs that appealed to you, that like just that kind of inspired you? What was it? What was that company specializing in?
They really were doing mostly new custom homes for
Hmm.
clients that were doing, unique projects. He was also working with developers around the country and developing whole communities of unique properties. And so just the opportunity to work on something different all the time instead of doing the same type of design, we
Hmm.
got to really dig in and research unique architectural styles. And that's what intrigued me and interests me the most, was being able to do, every project being a different architectural style. So that made it fun.
Really got to exercise a lot of creativity
Yes,
within your
yes.
designs. Yeah, I can see how that would be very inspiring and appealing.
Yes, it was.
for your business. So then you moved to Charlotte in the late 80s and won those design awards in 1992, and it kind of was a breakthrough moment for your company. Um, what were you focused mainly on custom homes then for the following years? I know you've diversified a lot of your design work now. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but what were you doing for the next decade or so?
Well, one thing I didn't mention before I actually moved to the Lake Norman area, I was living outside of Raleigh in the Pittsburgh Moncure area, and I was involved in a bad car wreck. And I broke my back and wound up in a body cast. And
Oh,
I was renting a home that was not designed to accommodate a person with a physical challenge. This home was also designed as a passive solar home. So while I was laid up in the body cast in this home that didn't support me, I was, really thinking a lot about how a home should be able to support you no matter your age or your ability, because you don't need to be old or physically challenged in some way to need a home that can accommodate you with any sort of ability, even for small kids. And then having this passive solar home, it allowed me to be able to recuperate in a home that was full of natural light, lots of windows. We were out in the woods in the middle of nowhere. So all of that nature and all that natural daylighting, all of those features, really helped me to heal more quickly. And so once I was healed, I went back to school and I learned about accessibility and I learned about healthy homes and about passive solar. And so for the next decade, I was incorporating these kind of ideas into my designs once I moved to Lake Norman. And that's something I've carried forward ever since. I just believe it's really important to think about these things. And not everybody's building passive solar, but solar in some way we can design the home to be prepared for that, even if they don't add it initially.
so you continued that work when you came to the Lake Norman area, and
Yes.
would we would see a lot of that inspiration in a lot of your custom home designs since then.
Absolutely. Yeah, tons of natural light, accessibility certainly on the first floor, and now most of our homes also incorporate a closet that's the size of an elevator, a residential elevator with a knockout floor, so that if the client ever needs an elevator added to that home, they can easily remove that floor of the closet and add the cab for the elevator. So it's pre-planned for that. And if they never need it, it's great storage closets, and if they ever resell the home, it adds resale value.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can tell you also, in the last year or so, I've worked with some local brokers in the Lake Norman area and participated in a few open houses. And I have continued to, especially with the larger custom homes that are on the waterfront, the lake, an elevator has been a hot topic for a lot of the buyers. A lot of buyers are looking for ease of getting up and down the floors, right?
Yes.
And I'm not I got to tell you, I live, my wife and I, we live in a townhome, and it's 3 levels and we climb stairs all day long, and I can completely understand the appeal for
Yes.
for
Yes.
either optimizing that main floor or having an elevator in your place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely helpful. And of course, climbing stairs all day long is good for your health, but when you
Sure.
can't,
Yeah.
it's great to have the ability to add an elevator, and even for moving furniture, not necessarily for moving someone with a physical challenge.
Yeah, yeah, or
Yeah.
even, when you're moving things up and down, like for, whether you're laundry baskets or that sort of thing, or
Yes.
um, what are some other ways that you incorporate accessibility in some of your custom home designs? What are some ways that kind of stand out?
Well, we certainly are trying to make everything as easily maneuverable as we can. We use the 4 foot wide hallways, 3 foot wide doorways, 4 foot wide aisleway around an island in a kitchen, things like a roll under cooktop So if you don't have a cabinet underneath that cooktop, somebody can roll under it, be easily, usable by someone in a wheelchair. Same thing with the sink, having multi-height countertops so that someone could actually be seated to do prep work in the kitchen. And then having at least one bathroom in the home that's accessible so that it has the 5-foot turning radius and grab bars around the toilet and the shower and a roll under sink. And then all of our showers we do are curbless so that you can roll right into it.
And what percentage would you say of your projects in the recent years have you seen an increase, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Have you seen an increase in demand for this type of design incorporation into a home?
I would say the majority of people ask for that. And
Yeah.
even if they don't ask for it, once we, introduce it to them, they're excited about it
Hmm.
and want to make sure that we incorporate those things. So it goes into 100% of our homes.
Okay. And what about the passive solar aspect of the homes that you design? What can you share a little bit more about that?
Well, the majority of people that we talk to about solar are more interested in active solar than passive solar.
Hmm.
And passive is, having a south facing glass with a thermal ability to, absorb the sunlight during the day, which, absorbs the heat. And then at night, it radiates it back out. So it's done passively. But with an active system, you're using the photovoltaic panels and generating electricity for your home and hot water. So more people I'm seeing are more interested in that aspect of it.
Hmm.
And, the Tesla power walls and the charging stations for their electric cars and those sorts of things are really what's being asked for more often than a passive solar house.
So it's been a really, especially with electric automobiles and Tesla kind of spearheading that technology movement over the last 10 or 15 or 20 years. Um, you've definitely seen an increase in not only demand but questions about adding these power solutions to these homes.
Yes, absolutely. I would say a charging station is probably 90% of the requests that we get.
Hmm.
And then maybe 75% of the people are asking for either the solar shingles or the Tesla Powerwall or both, or at least to be prepped and pre-wired for adding solar panels at some point in the future. And some of the issues we run into with that is if you're building in a development, a lot of the developments won't allow the solar panels on the roof. So you have to look at other alternatives like the shingles or that's not obvious that it's a solar panel. And then you can do ground mounted solar panels as well. They can be mounted on a rack or a pole on the ground so that it's not, seen. Um,
There's been a lot
but
of advancements in that technology. There's a lot of creative ways that you can implement solar power these days, isn't
yes,
there? Yeah.
yeah,
You're so listeners can't tell this, but we're recording via Zoom, and your background is one of your magnificent home designs in Cheryl's
yes.
Ford, which I just love. And I'm gonna
Thank you.
ask you after we stop recording to send me a photo of that so I can share it on social media as well.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about that home. I understand it's an award-winning design.
It is actually, and it was designed for an interior designer. And she and I collaborated from the day we met and walked her property. We knew we wanted to work together, and we shared a lot of this same, you know, concepts and ideas, and collaborated very well together. And this was a home that they dreamed of building here on Lake Norman, and they relocated here from Florida. And this home has won a national design award through the American Residential Design Awards and the AIBD, which is the American Institute of Building Design. And it has fabulous lake views, and as you can see, ample outdoor living spaces
Hmm.
off of all of the lakeside rooms. So there's multiple fireplaces and a fire pit. There's hanging beds and a fire let's see, move so you can see the fire pit somewhere. There it is
Oh yeah,
behind
that
me. Yeah. And then the multi-level patios and the pool. And then, of course, the fabulous views from the inside. There's lots of sliding doors and allows for a lot of, indoor outdoor connection. And the railings are made of glass. So
Wow.
unobstructed views.
Yeah, now that you mentioned the railings are made of glass, I noticed them now because I didn't notice them before you mentioned that. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. The outdoor living space, the architecture of the outdoor living space is magnificent too, and it all just seems to flow so naturally from the home to the outdoor space. It all looks like it all just works together so seamlessly.
And it really does. It flows well. And, outdoor living is huge. Everybody that's designing on a view property wants to have lots of outdoor living space so they can be outside and enjoy it. And having the ability to have the outdoor fireplaces and ceiling heaters, extends the time of year that you can use that comfortably.
Absolutely. That was, I've mentioned this before that that was one of the positives, I guess I would say, that came out of the pandemic for myself and my family was that we really embraced not only enjoying staying home more often and of course like so many others we made a lot of upgrades since we were home more often a lot of renovation but we've also really just embraced the outdoor space as well and doing things outdoors but especially at home we spend a lot of time after work in the evenings outside on our deck and I would say that that was that kind of added a new perspective for us when we look at our home and also when we plan for a future home. Uh, it really makes us think about what we want in our next place. Would you say, and it's probably obvious, but have you noticed a big change in mindset since 2020 as far as like a larger increase in interest in creating these magnificent outdoor spaces?
Absolutely. Yeah. Not only that, but, home offices, more and more home offices, Zoom rooms, that
Hmm.
sort of thing. And then, so many people, like you said, have spent a lot of time at home during that time period and did a lot of remodeling. So our remodeling business picked up tremendously during that time frame, as well as people wanting to build new homes because they realized their current home just was not functioning well for them, and being able to have all of the spaces that you need on a daily basis to enjoy, and also, having it function better for you and having it being healthy. A
Hmm.
lot of people wanted to move to a home that supported them more in terms of their health and wellness and well-being, including more natural daylighting and less toxic building materials and, even changing furnishings. Because a lot of people don't realize home furnishings are sprayed with fire retardants, which are highly toxic to people.
I'm sure I mean, there's probably so much that would really open some eyes, there's so much information that
Absolutely.
we're not aware of. And I feel like that would be a great topic too, to kind of circle back for another podcast episode and talk about you know, some, uh, some myths or misunderstandings with, our living spaces. You mentioned
Uh,
that you do a lot of you've been doing a lot of renovations since 2020, and I know you did some before that too, but we spoke a little bit before I hit record, and that's about 50% of your business currently. Is that correct?
yes. Yeah. I would say it's maybe a slightly more now of new
Hmm.
homes, but it's on average runs about 50-50 new homes to remodels. And most of the remodels we're doing are whole house, gut and redos,
Hmm.
and major additions as well.
So really reconstructing, reimagining a
Yes.
home.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
major
Yeah.
projects. Yeah, that must be. I mean, I know it's super challenging and takes a tremendous amount of experience and talent and skill, but gosh, that's got to be so much fun.
It really is. I love to see the transformations and to have people come to me and give me their ideas and then to see what they're working with and what they'd like to accomplish and then to give them all kinds of fresh ideas that they never thought of and just, light them up with what their possibilities are. Yeah, it's very fun. I love it.
How many homes would you say, I don't know if you happen to know offhand, have you designed new construction, or how many home designs have you uh, played a role in on Lake Norman itself?
Oh gosh. Well, I've been in business for 38 years
Yeah.
and I've done a lot of projects. I would say a couple thousand homes.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is it more than a few dozen? Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing, Jenny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can see Pippin Home Designs work all around the lake.
Yeah, and not just Lake Norman.
Hmm.
We design homes from Virginia all the way to Florida, Tennessee, out in Wyoming and Oklahoma.
Oh my
Where,
gosh.
yeah, we had a big project out in Oklahoma for a doctor who was building a wellness community, and designed four different units of townhomes, different sizes,
Mhm.
and he was going to be building 200 units of them out there. And now we're currently talking about another wellness community over in Asheville. And we've also connected with a project over in Costa Rica just recently.
Wow, Costa Rica.
Yeah.
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 My wife recently visited there for work, not for
Hmm.
vacation. But she visited there on business, and she said it's a beautiful country. Um,
Yeah.
so Asheville and the Highlands of North Carolina seems like it'd be a great fit for a wellness type community. And although I feel like, a lot of areas, or a lot of metro areas could benefit from wellness
Absolutely.
type communities, right? But
Indeed. Yeah. We could right here in
yeah,
Lake Norman. Yeah.
what are some aspects of that type of community that set it apart from traditional type of townhome communities?
Really thinking about the wellness aspect of it, building a home that's going to be healthy and non-toxic, incorporating things like neuroaesthetics and biophilia, because those things help with wellness. And for your listeners who aren't familiar with those terms, neuroaesthetics is how beauty, art, design, and architecture actually affect our bodies biologically and psychologically. And beauty really helps to improve our health, and being exposed to beauty, we're drawn to that. And in addition, biophilia is the love of nature and all living things. So when we can incorporate the views and bringing the outdoors in, as well as bringing in nature inside with live plants and natural materials such as wood, then being exposed to those elements again help to bring about well-being for people. And then it creates a positive sense of safety when you're designing for prospect and refuge, which is shelter, and then you can also see the views, you can see what's coming at you, so you
Mhm.
have that sense of security. And then using fractals, those are repeating patterns that you see in nature. Like, nature doesn't have necessarily a lot of right angles, it's more um, curves and that sort of thing. So whenever you can incorporate those elements into a design, then it's creates even more health and positive feelings.
Mhm.
So incorporating those types of things into a home is really different from what a typical townhouse is really considered more shelter, and
Mhm.
not necessarily building it for the well-being and health of the occupants.
Mental health is such a huge topic in recent years, and it just continues to be uh, more and more important, more and more important aspect of our lives that we need to consider and take care of and nurture. Have you seen really an increase in recent years from home builders who want to incorporate these kinds of design features into their homes for their clients, or requests from clients themselves who are say, hey, we really want to rethink our living space and really create some more uh, serenity in our lives?
Yeah, I'm seeing it more coming from the homeowners themselves than
Hmm.
from the builders, because the builders are trying to build what they think, is should be built. And if the homeowners start asking for more of that, then they're going to start incorporating it.
Hmm.
But really, it's coming from the homeowner's perspective, and a lot of it's coming from the designers who know the difference in what standard construction is and what a healthy construction is, and can educate their clients on that. And we do a lot of education through our website. We have a series of blogs. I think we have somewhere close to 60 blogs now, or a little more, that, talk about all aspects of home building that you rarely see being talked about. And so this is a great resource for your listeners to go to pippinhomedesigns.com and check out our blog.
I'll definitely share the link to the blog and to Pippin Home Designs, of course, in the show notes for this episode. And I look forward
Thank you.
to also checking out those blog posts as well and learning a little bit more about this myself. Where my wife and I are probably not too far away from our next house. We've been in the same place for about 15 years, and I think it's we're in a different place in life now, and we're ready for the next chapter. So that will be really interesting, I think, for both of us to kind of you know open our minds to a little bit of new technology and new ideas when it comes to home design.
Yeah, and talking about indoor air quality is one of the big features, and we talk a lot about that in our blog.
That's a really important topic too. That's something
Hmm.
that hits home for us, and it's so important, and it goes beyond the air filters, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Having the right HVAC system for your home,
Yeah.
because we're not just conditioning square footage, we're conditioning volume,
Hmm.
the cubic area. And many of the HVAC designers aren't designing for that. So,
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, square
yeah.
footage is a lot different than volume. Some of,
Yes.
especially when homes have vaulted ceilings, and especially in a custom build, you can't go by square footage, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So we have blogs on that too.
I will definitely share those links and look forward to reading those myself. Now so you work directly with the builder, with the architecture of these homes. You're designing from the blueprints and
Ground up. Yep.
ground up.
Hmm.
Okay, and then you also work very closely with interior designers, correct?
Yeah, we love to work as a team with our
Uh-huh.
homeowners. Yeah, we like for the homeowners to bring on their team early on, the builder, the interior designer, possibly the pool designer, landscape designer, whoever they want on their team. We like
Hmm.
to collaborate early on, because, having all of us working together to achieve the client's goals really gives them the best possible solution that we can create as we work collaboratively.
Yeah, that makes total sense that you would collaborate from, before even breaking ground to make sure that you've planned for the interior style, the outdoor living spaces, and that it all when it's completed just looks like a this beautiful seamless creation. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And even for like large scale, these full renovations and reimaginations of these homes, it's probably a very similar process.
Absolutely. It definitely is. And, even more important when we're working on a project that's an existing home and trying to work with existing features and structure, to bring in the builder and the structural engineer early on.
There's so much technology now with, that so much automation, technology, audio, video, networking, all of these things, lighting that
Yes,
that really needs to be planned for in the design phases of the place, right?
indeed. And that's another whole aspect of the team, is bringing on the audio visual and the lighting specialists.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we mentioned this earlier, and one other topic I wanted to talk about before we close is the really cool custom work that you've done with Spivey uh, construction in Mooresville on these barn dominium concepts. And as a guy who loves his motorized toys, the barn dominium just speaks to me. That concept is just a really, really cool concept. So we were able to connect a few months ago, and I was so lucky to be able to join you and Willis and Michelle McCoy, the interior designer, to tour one of these new barn dominiums in Mooresville and feature it on our YouTube channel. And I'll have a link to that video in the show notes as well. How did that begin? How did that come up in for on Pippin Homes Design's radar to get involved in these projects, which are so cool?
Well, thank you. Yeah, they are a lot of fun, and we've been designing a lot of them. Willis and I have been working together since 1994,
Oh
and
wow.
we've. I just looked the other day. I think we've done 65 projects together so far, and so of course, when the opportunity came up for him to start building these barn dominiums, of course, I was the first person he called to say, I'd like to start building these, and would you be willing to work with me to design them? And of course, I was. Just the idea of it. I have so many clients that have collections of cars and other things that they want to have, places to store in their homes, and they don't always have the space on their property for it. So having the opportunity to build a building specifically for that purpose and then incorporate living quarters within it, either just a small efficiency apartment or an entire, multi-bedroom living space, are options that we've incorporated now. And Brawley Flats is a community that we did the entire build and design together on, working with Michelle McCoy and Willis Spivey. And now we're moving on to another project up in Troutman. So we don't have enough land for all the people who want to build one. It's become
Yeah.
very popular. Yeah,
I can see why. I can see why it's such a popular concept. It's so ideal for those families who you know, love their car collections or have motor coaches that they don't want to store outside and and all the
exactly.
things, and it's really an extension of their homes, and they're able to but also able to kind of keep it separate from their properties because a lot of most developments, most luxury developments, unless they're not deed restricted, but most are
Mm,
for good reason. You don't have the ability to build these large square footage facilities on these lots for these properties. So it's great to
right.
have, a satellite location like the barn dominiums at Brawley Flats to store, to entertain, to live,
Hmm.
and it's a perfect guest home for when family comes to visit.
It really is. And then also some people are renting them out, so they're using them as income producing opportunities as well as a storage, and entertaining space.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
noticed the one that we toured, there were three aspects to that building. There was the
Yes.
obviously the garage storage, which was magnificent. And then there was the upstairs, there were two living quarters. There was an apartment on the main floor, and then there was
Hmm.
another apartment uh on the second floor. So separate living quarters. And really there's it's just a lot of flexibility there.
There really is. And the second floor apartment is a personal, space.
Mhm.
And then the first floor apartment is income producing space. So it's so multi-purpose and really a valuable property,
Yeah.
and type of project to do. And so we're having more and more people know that we do them now, and they're coming to us and asking us to design on their properties and farms as well.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool concept. I totally understand why it's growing in popularity so quickly. It's just a lot of fun. And I think
Yeah, and they're beautiful.
yeah, they are beautiful. They are so beautiful. Yeah, it's hard to imagine until you've seen one.
Right.
Just how spectacular these barn dominiums are. Well, I appreciate you sharing a little bit about that, and thank you for bringing me on along on that tour and allowing me to share it with our followers on here at the Best of LKN, and that was a lot of fun. And you have another project going on similar to that in Troutman now,
Yes, we do. It's called Honeycut Flats. And
Honeycut Flats. Is that with Willis Spivey also?
it is absolutely Willis
Awesome.
and Lewis. Spivey.
Well, very cool. I can't wait to see how those turn out too. I'll follow up with you. Let's stay in touch. I would love to see those as
Yeah,
well.
the
I bet they're awesome.
yeah, the first one's just breaking ground, I think, this week.
Wow, very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, Jenny, before we close, what other plans do you have for 2024, 2025? I know that you're pretty well entrenched in some ongoing projects now. Anything new on the radar for the next year or two?
Well, we are selling some of our designs, our designed plans online on a plan book platform. And there's a couple of them out there, and then we're expanding on that this year, adding probably doubling the number of plans that we have online for people to purchase.
Now that would be, I'm guessing, I don't know a lot about that process. Would that really help a new home builder as far as being able to acquire a Pippin home design does it help ease the process? Like basically they take these designs and give them to their builder.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it does. If we've got people that have come to us sometimes that are in a big hurry,
Hmm.
and because of our workload, we can't jump on it right away. So this gives them an opportunity to look at an option of a Pippin designed home that they can get for, much easier access to.
Yeah, yep. And really makes it so much simpler to access it around the country, right?
Yes,
So
around the
yeah,
country. And we
yeah.
are selling them around the country. Any of the custom home designs that we've designed for our local lakes, we are not reselling those to be built again on these local lakes,
Hmm.
but we are, able to resell them in other parts of the country for sure.
Makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And is there a link on your website for where listeners can go check out those designs and that program?
I don't have a link on my website, but you can go to
Hmm.
architecturaldesigns.com.
Gotcha.
And there's also coastalhomeplans.com and mountainhouseplans.com.
Perfect.
And
I'll
I'll provide you those links.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, forward
Yeah.
those links. I'll make sure that they're in the show notes as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Jenny, this was great to catch up. I really appreciate your time. I know how super busy you are and involved in so many different projects, and your services are in such demand. So I really appreciate you taking the time to connect with me over the last several months and invite me
And
along. I appreciate it.
yeah, we're very excited to do that with you, Jeff, and look forward to sharing some more projects with you in the future.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
How can listeners learn more about Pippin Home Designs and connect with you?
You can go to our website, Pippin Home Designs, and that's PippinHomeDesigns.com. And our phone number is 704-363-8037. We also have a Houzz page. That's Houzz. We have Instagram and we have Pinterest. You can find us all there at Pippin Home Designs.
Perfect. I'll have the link for Pippin Home Designs, of course, in the show notes for this episode as well. And we'll tag Pippin Home Designs on social media when we release this episode. And I also look forward to sharing some great images of some of these custom homes that you've built, so that our listeners can get just a visual idea of some of the work that you do. It's
I
truly
appreciate it.
amazing. You're so talented.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we have a gallery of them on our website as well. And I'm happy to
Perfect.
share them with you too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jenny Pippin is the principal at Pippin Home Designs, and she joined the podcast today. Jenny, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. Have a wonderful day.
All right. I'll stop recording right there. That was really